welcome to another Stratco How-To installation video. My name's Adam and today we're going to build this beautiful fence behind us, a Stratco Good Neighbour ColourBond fence. Today's profile we've chosen is Wavelock. Wavelock's one of the real features of Wavelock is it looks exactly the same on both sides, hence perfect for a Good Neighbour fence. We've also added to today's fence an aluminium plinth underneath, which is called a Lumawall. You can actually use this plinth not only as a plinth underneath your fence, 1 or 2 high, you can actually build a retaining wall system out of it as well. They come pre-powder coated in 4 colours. And our Good Neighbour fencing range is available in all ColourBond fencing colours. At Stratco we've got lots of terrific literature that we've invested in. I'm going to use 2 documents today. One is our install guide. So the install guide, the information that I'll grab out of this one today is not only the step-by-step process in how to build a Good Neighbour fence, including putting lattice tops or slat tops on top of your fence, but also the post spacing as to where we need to dig the holes. So for a Good Neighbour Wavelock fence, from outside of panel to outside of panels, 2350mm. So I'll show you in a moment how we mark that up using the track. Then I'm also going to use quickly our design guide. So the design guide shows you footing details for different soil types and recommendations. So we've got a bit of a sandy clay base today, and those holes should be around 700mm deep by 200mm wide. So that'll be what we're working to today. And each hole would require approximately 2 bags of concrete. And just before we get started, we'll grab our appropriate safety items for today. It's a pretty simple one, a broad brim hat, an appropriate sunblock. I will be doing a bit of cutting and drilling today, so I'll be wearing gloves and also goggles to protect my eyes. So to mark up the holes, we'll use just some garden stakes and some string line. We'll use the tracks that come with the fence and we'll just line mark the ground. Let's have a look how we do that. We've now got a small number of holes to dig, and we're going to dig those 700mm deep, 200mm wide, and we're going to use our post hole pincer to do that today. So we leave the string line in place, which will help us line up the panels. And now we're going to build our frames. So the posts and the tracks actually look quite similar, but the track actually just sits inside of the post like so. Then we put a Tek screw through the pan into the rib here. And what we'll actually do is we'll do 1 in each corner, so that'll be 4 Tek screws. Then we'll flip the panel and put the same 4 on the other side. Now we're just going to mark where the bottom track goes. So the top track is level with the top of the post. We'll measure 1800mm down and just put a little mark. Use a pencil or a little discreet marker. So that's 1800mm. That'll be the bottom of the bottom track, knowing that the sheets are 1795, 5mm short, plus the width of the top and bottom track. That gives us 1800mm overall. Now we'll just repeat what we did at the top. So bottom of track level with the marking, screw through the pan and into the rib of the track. Lumawall plinths come in 1 standard length, 2385. Good Neighbour fencing panels are actually a variety of lengths due to sheet coverage. So for a couple of the panels, you'll need to trim the plinth back. So for a wave lock today, we're going to cut the aluminium plinth back to 2335 to sit inside of our Good Neighbour posts. You could do that with a hacksaw, you could do it with a circular saw, which I'm going to use today with an appropriate blade, or even a drop saw. So let's cut this one back once I put my earmuffs on. And once we've completed the cut, along with any drilling that we'll do today, we'll just make sure we remove all the swarf to prevent any staining once we get a bit of moisture or rain. So now we're ready to put the Alumawall plinth in, which actually has a couple of advantages over concrete plinths. One is it's nice and light, it's also pre-coloured, and when we build a Good Neighbour fence with an aluminium plinth, it's best to actually put the plinths in before we concrete the posts, rather than secondary once the panel's in. So we'll make sure it's square at this point, and we put one additional screw on each side, then we'll flip the panel and repeat on the other side. So it's time to stand up the panels now. We're going to put all 4 panels that we've just built into the holes. Once they're in the holes, we'll get them level and then we'll screw them together. Let's go. So now that we've popped the panels into place, each panel actually comes with 11 Tex screws. So we use 8 of those Tex screws for the corners, 4 in each corner, double-sided, and then there's 3 extra Tex screws that we evenly space to join the Good Neighbour posts together. So we'll do that now, and then we'll check our levels and concrete them in. One of the other benefits of putting any type of plinth in a Good Neighbour fence is that when you do construct a Good Neighbour fence, the bottom track actually isn't meant to touch the ground. The columns are designed with their galvanised base to go into the soil, but the track isn't. In fact, you need to keep it off the ground up to 50 mil. So when you do have a plinth, you can back up all the soil against the plinth and the posts, and the bottom track's protected, prolonging the life of your Good Neighbour fence. Once we've screwed all the panels together, we check our levels. So I've already modified the holes as required, just to make sure all the panels line up. Sometimes you might even tap them down just into the earth. So now that we're all level, we'll concrete the panels in. And now that we're all concreted in, one more level check. Best practice is to actually now down tools, clean everything up and have a rest for the rest of the day. It's actually preferred that you don't put your fence sheets in straight away, because then there's no wind loading on the panels and it allows the concrete to set overnight. So the best thing you could do is actually now leave the panels and come back to them tomorrow once the concrete's set and put the sheets in. Now that our concrete is set, what we're going to do is take off the top track, just one side, and pop it over the edge like so. Keep those screws that I've already taken out the back Tex screw, and we're going to put our sheets in. And that's how to build a Stratco Good Neighbour fence. So today we've used wave lock, as you've seen. We can actually do our Good Neighbour fences in 5 profiles. Not only wave lock, we can do super deck, smart span, CGI, and also mini orb. We've also included today the plinth that you've seen, which is an Alumawall plinth. They come pre-powder coated. They're available in 4 colours. They match the fence perfectly, provide that extra height, and it gives you that feature where you can back up soil against it, in front or behind or even both sides, and providing a little bit more height. And you can actually do that with up to 2 Alumawalls high.